In the beginning of One Piece chapter 1132, the Straw Hat Pirates, including Luffy, have arrived at the central village of Elbaf. In the commercialized arc, Luffy is still negotiating with Prince Loki, engaging in both talks and a physical confrontation. Loki, who has something to ask, wants Luffy's help in finding a key to release him. Luffy, on the other hand, is keen on learning more about Shanks. Both sides have their own objectives, but it remains unclear how their negotiation will conclude. However, by the end of this chapter, Luffy has already arrived at the center of Elbaf's village. And true to his personality, it seems likely that he won't go easy on Loki. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew has also arrived at the village. Rod has been defeated by Gertz and Girdbag, and it looks like they have recognized the Straw Hats, aiding them in defeating their own crew members. The crew is exploring the giant village and reacting to the breathtaking scenes of Elbaf. The narrator describes the grandiosity of the place, suggesting that a large, wide page spread may follow. The chapter concludes with the notes of explorer Roy Arnott, who had once recorded his adventures in Little Garden. He warns against staying too long in Elbaf. The final scene of this chapter reveals a mysterious shadow in the forest of Elbaf. Given the number of shadows already in the area, this one certainly won't be Achilles. In One Piece chapter 1132, titled The Great Elbaf Adventure, the story begins with the Great Eckley ship heading towards the port of Elbaf. A child runs out to greet the ship. This child is Colon, who was seen in the 10-year plan with Shanks. Colon shouts for the Great Eckley ship's crew, but Dory and Broggy inform him that they are headed straight towards the giant tree's upper levels. Colon enters a bar and tells the innkeeper that he wants to join them because he wants to meet Luffy, as Shanks had once told him to remember the name Luffy the Straw Hat. The innkeeper gives Colon and his father some food, asking him to deliver it to someone named Lipri. The Great Eckley ship then sails towards a massive rainbow bridge, which connects the sea to the second level of the giant tree. The giant crew on the ship painted the bridge with the sun. Meanwhile, Heldon's small boat sails out to meet them, and they join forces to sail across the rainbow bridge. On the ground, Gertz and Girdbag are pursuing Rod. They suddenly spot Luffy jumping up from the underground world. Gertz is fond of little people and finds Luffy adorable, greeting him and asking what he was doing underground. Luffy jumps into Gertz's hand, but suddenly remembers what Loki told him. "Don't tell anyone you've seen me here, and I won't mention our agreement." Luffy's classic goofy expression follows. The two giants misunderstand, thinking Luffy has gone through something terrifying in the underworld, and rush to express their concern. The group moves beyond the Great Wall into a forest, and Rod is about to catch up with them when he suddenly crashes into a felled giant tree. This was a trap set by the Taro, meant not to attack Rod, but to defeat him indirectly. As Gertz and Girdbag cross the bridge and see Rod preparing to harm others, they recognize him as a hidden god and immediately attack him. Their fighting posture resembles that of Dory and Broggy's French-style attacks, though it's a simple strike. They shout at Rod, telling him to stand still and not move. Luffy and Nami's group reunites, and they now reach the second level of Elbaf, wanting to explore the huge village. Dory and Broggy explain that Elbaf is divided into 3 layers. The first layer is the underworld, Hell. The second is the middle layer, the world of the living. And the third is the upper layer, the Heaven. They are currently in the middle layer, a vast land with numerous villages. The village they're heading to is built on the branches of enormous trees, surrounded by many islands and featuring a castle. The Straw Hat crew is deeply moved when they see the village, and Luffy and Usopp reflect on their previous conversation about Elbaf during their time in Little Garden. Luffy had sworn to one day visit Elbaf, the warrior kingdom, and now that dream is coming true. Everyone is excited. In the giant village, the Spring crew gathers, and they also reunite with Heldon. Everyone is happy, but Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper are reluctant to try crossing the Rainbow Bridge, even though they want to experience it for themselves. The chapter concludes with the narrator, Roy Arnott, the adventurer who once wrote Laurel's book, sharing his thoughts. He describes the immense plants, trees, and animals of Elbaf, all so gigantic that it takes one's breath away. However, he warns adventurers not to stay too long in this place. Meanwhile, a shadow is seen walking through the forest. The identity of the shadow is unclear, but it appears to have long hair and a straw hat. Some informants suggest that this might be the same person seen in chapter 631, who was drinking with Faye and Karokas. This person could potentially be a member of the Roger Pirates, possibly Jabba, making things even more intriguing. With that, the chapter ends.